There is a level of discipline that looks like a mental illness to the uninitiated. A frequency of existence so steady, so cold, and so relentless that it ceases to be human effort and becomes a law of nature. Most people operate on a spectrum of maybe. They negotiate with their alarm clocks. They bargain with their fatigue. They treat their goals like suggestions. This is not that. The person you fear is the one who has removed the option of no. They have killed the part of themselves that asks, how do I feel today? They don't have motivation. They have a mandate. Miyamoto Musashi didn't survive 60 duels to the death because he was faster. He survived because he had a mind that could not be shaken. He lived in a state of guji, a continuous practice without gaps. This isn't a self-help guide. This is an initiation into a way of being that will make you unrecognizable to those who know you now. It is lonely. It is brutal. And it is not for everyone. Raphael wakes up at 6 a.m. On Monday, he is a god. He drinks the water. He hits the gym. He stares at the screen with a focus that feels like fire. He tells himself that the old version of him is dead. He feels the weight of his potential. By Wednesday, the fire is a flicker. The bed is warmer. The excuses are quieter, more sophisticated. I work hard yesterday, he whispers. I need recovery. By Friday, the cycle completes its circle. He is back in the scroll, back in the sugar. Back in the hollow promise that next week will be the one where everything finally clicks. He isn't lazy. He is exhausted from the constant friction of trying to start over and over again. Every Monday is a mountain. Every Sunday is a funeral for the man he promised to become. He looks in the mirror and sees a stranger. He sees a man who has all the tools but no glue. He has the maps, but he keeps burning the shoes. He thinks he needs more why. He thinks he needs a vision board or a more inspiring playlist. He is wrong. Raphael is stuck in the loop because he believes discipline is a feeling he has to summon. He treats his life like a series of independent events rather than a single unbroken line. He wasn't weak. He was fighting something he didn't understand. He was fighting the gap. Centuries ago, in the shattered mountains of Japan, the concept of guji was perfected. It translates to continuous practice without gaps. To the samurai, and specifically to Musashi, the gap was where death lived. If there is a gap between your intention and your action, the enemy enters. If there is a gap between your training and your life, your skill rots. The secret Raphael didn't know is that the world's most disciplined people do not make more decisions than he does. They make fewer. They have moved from reversible commitments to irreversible ones. Most people live in a state of reversible commitment. You try a diet. You plan to wake up early. These are soft contracts with the self, written in pencil, waiting to be erased the moment the body feels a chill or the mind feels bored. But the elite operate on a system of identity witnessed by the universe. In ancient traditions, this was marked by rituals, by the shaving of the head, by the taking of a new name. It was a public declaration that the bridge behind them had been turned to ash. They don't decide to work out at 5 a.m. They have already decided once, a decade ago, and the execution is merely a biological byproduct of that singular choice. This is the shift from behavior to identity. A vegetarian doesn't resist the steak, they simply don't eat meat. There is no struggle because there is no alternative. The gap has been closed. When you adopt the system of guji, you stop negotiating with the version of yourself that is tired, hungry, or afraid. You realize that those feelings are irrelevant, static. In the monastery, the bell rings and the monks move. There is no debate about whether the sleep was sufficient. There is no meeting to discuss if the chanting could wait until tomorrow. The bell is the law. To build a mind that no one can shake, you must install your own internal bells. You must move from a person who wants to be consistent to a person for whom inconsistency is a physical impossibility. You are no longer trying to be disciplined. You are enforcing the law of who you are. The people who look at you from the outside will think you have incredible willpower. They are wrong. You have something far more dangerous. You have an identity that has been witnessed, recorded, and sealed. They don't decide. They have already decided. Even with the system in place, the animal inside you does not go quietly. Biology is a conservative force. It wants to save calories, seek comfort, and avoid the cold. Raphael discovers that identity doesn't instantly kill the urge to quit. It just changes the nature of the fight. Inside his mind, the negotiations start the moment the sun begins to rise. A voice, slick and persuasive, whispers about diminishing returns. It tells him that he's pushing too hard, that his central nervous system is fried, that he is running on empty fuel. This is the internal friction. This is the biological tax on greatness. In the old days, Raphael would listen. He would weigh the pros and cons of staying in bed. He would treat his internal monologue like a trusted advisor. Now, he sees it for what it is, a dying reflex. He begins to view his mental energy as a finite fuel source. Every time he debates with himself, he leaks power. Every should I or could I is a puncture in his armor. The war is won not by being stronger than the voice, but by making the voice irrelevant. He introduces fixed, non-negotiable time blocks. Between 5 a.m. and 9 a.m., Raphael does not exist as a sentient being with opinions. He exists as an automated execution machine. The resistance is physical. His chest feels tight. His limbs feel heavy, as if moving through deep water. His brain screams for the dopamine of the scroll, the warmth of the distraction. But he has learned the samurai's secret. You don't need to feel good to move. You don't need to be ready to begin. He watches the resistance like a scientist watching a chemical reaction. He feels the friction, but he doesn't let it become heat. He realizes that the struggle isn't a sign that he's doing something wrong. The struggle is the sound of the old identity being crushed under the weight of the new. He survives the hour. He completes the task. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't inspired. It was a gritty, ugly, silent crawl through the mud of his own hesitation. It is a partial victory, not a solution. The war will begin again tomorrow. The world will tell you that balance is the key. They will tell you that you need a holistic approach, that you should listen to your body, and that variety is the spice of life. This is the language of the mediocre. It is the anesthetic used to numb the pain of unrealized potential. To build a mind like Musashi, you must embrace the one way. You must destroy the illusion of choice. Choice is a leak. When you wake up and ask, "What should I do today?" you have already lost. You have invited the demon of hesitation to sit at your table. The system of Guji demands that the path be narrow, dogmatic, and repetitive. You do the same things at the same time with the same intensity until the what and the how disappear, leaving only the is. Your life must become a rule book, not a suggestion box. Raphael's friends begin to notice. They see him declining the late-night drinks. They see him eating the same fuel every day. They see the vacant look in his eyes when they talk about the latest viral outrage. They start to use words like obsessed, rigid, or boring. They tell him he's missing out on life. This is the social pressure test. Most people fold here because they want to be disciplined, but they also want to be liked. You cannot have both. To the person who lives without a gap, the concern of others is merely noise. Their mockery is a compass. If the people around you aren't slightly worried about your intensity, you aren't working hard enough. The repetitive nature of the one way is designed to be annoying. It is designed to be a grind, but annoying is a feature, not a bug. The monotony is the forge. It burns away the need for novelty. It forces you to find depth in the shallowest of tasks. When you do the same movement for the 10,000th time, you stop seeing the movement and start seeing the essence. You no longer look for a better way. You realize there is only the way. You stop scanning the horizon for a shortcut and start looking down at your feet. The question of "is this working?" is replaced by the statement, "this is what I do." There is no variety. There is only the repetition of excellence until excellence is no longer an act, but a reflex. Musashi wrote that in the art of war there is no such thing as a relaxed moment. If you are a warrior, you are a warrior when you eat, when you sit, and when you sleep. This is the death of all-or-nothing thinking. Most people treat discipline like a light switch. They are either on or off. They have a bad meal and they decide the whole day is a wash. They miss one workout and they retreat into a week of sloth. They believe that if the perfection is broken, the effort is worthless. This is the gap where the soul withers. In the system of Guji, there is no off. There is only the current. Think of a river. A river doesn't stop being a river because it hits a rock. It doesn't pause to reconsider its path when the terrain gets steep. It flows over, under, or through. It is a continuous, relentless pressure. Your discipline must be the same. If you cannot spend 2 hours in the gym, you spend 15 minutes on the floor. If you cannot write 3,000 words, you write 3 sentences. But you never, under any circumstances, allow the gap to form. The moment the chain breaks, the identity begins to dissolve. Rest is not a retreat, it is a tactical repositioning. To the man of Guji, sleep is not a break from his work. It is the fuel required for the next strike. Eating is not an indulgence, it is the maintenance of the blade. When you remove the gap, you remove the need to start again. You are always started. You are always in motion. The fire that is fed daily can withstand a storm. The fire that is lit only on good days will be extinguished by a single breath of hardship. You must become the fire. You must realize that the moment the practice stops, the man you are building dies. The amateur depends on his future self to be a hero. He assumes that when the crisis hits, when the deadline looms, or when the temptation arises, he will suddenly find the strength to choose the hard path. This is a biological delusion. Under stress, the human brain does not rise to the level of its expectations. It falls to the level of its training. The system of Guji utilizes what neuroscientists call implementation intentions. We call them pre-solutions. You do not wait for the moment of decision to make a choice. You eliminate the decision-making process entirely. In the monastery, the monk does not decide where to place his shoes. The ritual has already dictated their position. There is no decision fatigue because there are no decisions. Raphael begins to map his failures like a military strategist. He knows that at 4 p.m. his blood sugar drops and his resolve weakens. In the past, this was the gap where the junk food entered. Now, the pre-solution is locked. When the clock strikes 4 p.m., I consume the prepared fuel. There is no discussion. He knows that when he travels, the lack of a gym is the excuse his brain uses to quit. The pre-solution. The moment I drop my bags in a hotel room, I perform 50 burpees. The floor is my gym. Decision fatigue is the silent killer of greatness. Every time you have to choose between a good habit and a bad one, you shave off a layer of your willpower. By the end of the day, you are mentally naked and defenseless. The elite man solves his problems before they exist. He automates his virtues so that his conscious mind is free to focus on the battle, not the logistics. If X happens, I do Y. It is binary. It is clinical. It is a logic gate installed in the consciousness. You must look at your life and identify the recurring gaps, those predictable moments where you tend to falter. You then write the script for those moments in advance. You take the you out of the equation. You become a piece of software executing a command. When your phone pings with a distraction, the pre-solution is already active. It is face down, in another room, silent. When a peer offers a distraction, the no is already loaded in the chamber, delivered without an apology or an explanation. There is no debate. There is no negotiation. The answer already exists, carved into the stone of your system long before the problem ever arrived. You aren't thinking anymore. You are simply happening. The transformation is not a loud event. There are no trumpets. There is only a terrifying, quiet shift in the atmosphere of your life. Raphael looks in the mirror and no longer recognizes the man who used to bargain with his own potential. That man is dead. He was sacrificed on the altar of the unbroken line. He has reached the state of the unshakable mind. When the world presents a temptation, it doesn't feel like a struggle. It feels like an insult. When others complain about the cold or the difficulty of the task, Raphael listens with a distant, mythic detachment. Their discomfort is a foreign language he no longer speaks. He has moved beyond the need for results. The practice itself has become the reward. He no longer works out to look a certain way. He works out because he is a person who does not miss. He no longer works to achieve a goal. He works because the work is the only place where he truly exists. He has become a master of his own internal architecture, a samurai of the modern age who understands that the only true enemy is the gap. People will look at you and say you've changed. They will say you've become cold, or distant, or too much. Take this as the ultimate signal of success. It means you have successfully exited their reality and entered your own. You have died to the collective and been reborn as an individual. Now, it is time to seal the contract. Do not try this. Do not start tomorrow. Declare your law in the comments below. Write one non-negotiable rule that will govern your life from this moment forward. Let the world witness the end of your hesitation. The struggle is over. The system is in control. He doesn't do it anymore. He is it.